What's good, everybody? What's going on, man? It's Stephen Qualls the second, aka Mr. Qualified. It's your boy, and we are back with another episode of the Wright Quality Podcast. We do have a special guest today. Our regular co-host Ashley is not with us today. She's busy doing the real work, calling them games, doing everything that she needs to do. Shout out to her. She'll be joining us back here soon. But Miguel, before we get into our guest, remind the people of who you are.
You said it.
I'm crying.
That's it. Miguel.
No nickname today?
No nickname. Never had a nickname growing up. And now as time has evolved, it happens.
I'm weak. And our special guest today, man, please let the people know who you are and yeah, just what you're gonna bring to the table today, joining the discussion, man.
My name is Devontae Beard. I'm just gonna bring a genuine hoop talk. Like it ain't no casual in this. Like it's hoop talk, whether it was from playing it, whether from being around it, from studying it. So it's gonna be a real conversation, and I look forward to it. And I appreciate you guys for having me here today.
For sure. Absolutely, man. I love that. Like no casual here. We have ball knowledge. We know ball. Like we talk real ball on this podcast. But now it's a lot to get into, man. We wrapping up February, heading into March for the NBA season. This is the time when you start paying attention. If you are a casual fan, this is when it's time to lock in. So we here to guide you through what you might have missed.
The football watchers transitioning.
Right. Yeah, all the transitioners. We gonna help
Baseball
you get
season.
caught up. Baseball season too. Honestly, if whatever you was doing before March, no judgment, but we just here to help you out, give you a lay of the land. And it seemed like things picked up right away after All-Star weekend. Like even though we had a few days before games got back going again, the storylines picked up right away. Tanking, don't know if it's ever been this bad. And it's messed up that there's an art to tanking because I don't want the idea of tanking to get a bad name because some teams are just bad, right? So like some teams
let's get them out the way.
Like you said
Sacramento.
What? Well, yes. Like
but also those franchises are terribly ran as well. But I don't think that they're doing it in a we're gonna sit guys way. They're just
well, yes. So perfect example. Somebody I saw an article about this the other day. The Spurs have tanked before. They did it ethically, but they tanked. You know,
they played young guys. That's the way you do it.
Right, but it's also the idea of I think there's a difference in trying to position yourself like within the lottery, knowing that you're going to be one of the bottom teams versus trying to force yourself into a bottom team to try to like hiding your odds, especially when there's no long-term plan. Like San Antonio has always had a plan, right? Like, however it worked, you get Wemby. Like, and then you tank to get lucky enough to get the pick for Castle, right?
And that's it. Their tanking was just playing all of their guys that they want to play for the future.
Yes.
Which is
but you aren't going to win anyway. So like it makes sense. Even last year, right? Like Wemby goes down, right? So you trade for Fox, but Wemby goes down, and it's like, okay, yeah, let's shelf Fox because ain't no point in risking him having some type of injury. You still play the young guys, and they were already fighting for play-in anyway, so it wasn't like they were within the like first 6 seeds and fail. Like you were fighting for a play-in, you realize it's not worth fighting in. You just let the season be what it's going to be, play the guys you want to develop, and you see what happens in the lottery. And they just happen to look up and get the number 2 pick to get Dylan Harper. But like now, where are we? 2 seed in the West, right? Probably coming for that 1 seed, but we'll get into that a little bit later. But then you look at somewhere like Utah, like, and there's just no vision. Like if Utah had a vision that I feel like people could see, it would be different. But you make these moves, and then it's weird because you have these pieces that look promising, and you want to I want to look at Utah and kind of be like, I think I see something. Like I think I see what they're trying to do.
They're better than the product they're putting out.
Absolutely. And granted, like Kessler going out and being out for the season, that definitely hurts, right? That definitely throws a wrench in a lot of plans. But Lauri been kind of doing this thing the past 2-3 years. Like what Lauri Markkanen has been getting away with is actually criminal. Like it's actually pretty ridiculous. But Jaren getting no
wait. What? Just going in and out every year?
Yeah, like I'm saying, Lauri be going from he be having a stretch of 10 games where he's like an all-star and looks like, a true number 1 option. Then it's all these injuries that have him in and out the lineup for 3 months before they ultimately just seem to like shelf him for no real apparent reason. Like not because he actually has a season-ending injury. They just aren't trying to play him. Like then you trade for Jaren, you barely play him, and then he gets injured for the rest of the season. And so it's like, what is the plan? What is the point? Because if y'all do look up and get this top 3 pick, now all of a sudden we all turn around and try to put out this better product and hope to contend in an already stacked conference. Like, I just don't see the long-term goal of it all. But there's a lot of teams now that tanking has kind of taken on a life of its own and seems to have this incentive. I think more teams are aiming for that if they don't want to perpetually be a play-in team or don't truly feel like they can contend or have some type of timeline based on the talent they have. But what do you all think is the main, like, is tanking in and of itself the issue, or is it more about, Gail, kind of how you said, how organizations are run and that approach to tanking is what's making it more like unethical, so to say?
Me first.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I just feel like it's maybe 5 criminally ran one criminally ran franchise that we know of for sure, Dallas. But then after that, like, there are poorly ran organizations that are forced to tank because of poor roster construction, which I mentioned 2 of those before. I don't know what Portland's doing. I don't know if I'd blame them for losing games because have I seen a Portland game? No. For good reason, I'm sure.
I don't think they're tanking though. I wouldn't consider Portland.
They've had some injuries.
Yeah.
No, I was gonna say like they're tanking for no other reason than like they just don't have the guys.
But I don't even think where are they seated now in the West?
9, I think.
Which is crazy.
They're playing like I predict. I mean, I thought they'd possibly get playing last season, but they're in playing now. They could lose playing and be lottery.
Yeah, which is a scary position to be. That might be the worst position to be in the NBA, where it's just like it's where the Bucks were before when you were like a perennial 8 seed and like we just get ran through by the Cavs and LeBron, or Miami and LeBron. And it's just like we can't really get draft capital and we're stuck medium bad or medium good. And it's like I think teams have seen now where it's like if you're not going to win a chip, then what is it for?
That's the mentality. That's the issue.
Yeah. And it's like I don't know how you fix that because that is true, but also because then you see teams that have committed too early to projects that didn't pan out, like in Atlanta, like if you want to go early, Washington Wizards, where it's just like the window just isn't there when it's like, okay, you're gonna make it to the Eastern Conference Finals if you have LeBron James on your team, and it's like if I'm not gonna compete in that window, like they saw Indiana do it, like I don't know what you do, especially if you're a team in the West and you have OKC and San Antonio there. How am I not gonna punt half my seasons away if like they have the greatest I don't know. It is hard because I completely get it. Because it's like, well, how do you compete with some of those teams?
In my opinion, there are teams in this league that are worse than they should be, as I'm sure we can all agree. The Utah Jazz should be putting out a better product than they're putting on the floor, whether they're holding players out by injury, whether it's a legitimate injury, whatever it is, right? The Sacramento Kings, though I thought the roster was poorly constructed, they still should be putting out a better product with the stars they had to begin the season, in my opinion, because it's not like those players was just BS guys.
Yeah, it was just bad roster construction, but it wasn't bad players.
That's what. So, like, I'm thinking players you can figure out how to win some regular season games, and to say you only have 12 to this point, like, I'm not buying that. Like, I think they're better than a 12-win team from what it started, in my opinion. Yeah. Who else am I looking at? The New Orleans Hornets. I believe they're a better team than the product they're putting out. So like these are bottom teams. I understand they don't have a chance as far as playoff contention and trying to win it all. But I think they have. I won't say I think. I know for certain they have the potential to put out better products than they had. Now, a team like the Indiana Pacers, that's
Right.
why I'm like, all right, I ain't worried about
You get a
them.
pass.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
that injury bug hit them
the
crazy.
Washington Wizards, I'm like, okay, I get that,
Yeah.
but there are other teams, man. It's like you're just. I guess the Grizzlies, man, they should have been better than what they were, and now we've seen they've just traded and thrown their season away.
Yeah.
The Chicago Bulls started off decent,
I knew that.
right?
I knew it was gonna
For
fall
But
apart.
we
But I
we
think,
knew no, we knew the Bulls was just gonna drop off. That wasn't gonna hold up. We
yeah.
knew that for certain,
sure.
right? So now we're just we're in a rough position, or the league is in a rough position where, as you already said once, Miguel, that once teams realize, or not even once they realize, but at a certain point, they're like, nah, we might as well just throw this away and just go for that top pick, that highest percentage. And then they start competing with the other teams that are doing it. So it's a lose off. Like they're
yeah,
they're
it's ugly.
competing to
Ugly.
lose the most games. So that becomes a problem. So what I suggested on my social media account was that of the teams that do not make the playoffs, meaning not like this does include playing teams if they didn't make it, period. Just the 14 teams that are going to be in the lottery. I said that of those non-playoff sevens in each, or that 14 total, whoever is seeded the highest of the non-playoff teams, in my opinion, should either get the number one pick or have the highest percentage.
Yes, because then it's like you're at least playing to the top of the.
And you're not incentivizing losing. Like
Yeah.
I at least saw, I can respect the fact that you put yourself in a position throughout the season that gave you life to enter the playoffs. There's absolutely no way I can respect the fact that you just lost. That's like having a dog running around my house eating up my furniture and I'm giving it treats just for destroying my. Oh, I'm gonna punish my dog for what my dog did, and now I'm going to reverse that cycle. So, like, there has to be some sort of punishment for losing. You have to reverse it. You have to penalize it. So that's why I see. And just real quick, I'm gonna pass it to you again, but real quick.
No.
For
I'm just thinking.
instance,
Yeah.
for instance, a team like the Washington Wizards, they went traded for Trae Young. They went traded for Anthony Davis. Now, this may not work out in the long run. We don't know. But we're seeing the effort, right? Years ago, when the Brooklyn Nets had the whole Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving situation, like when we see effort from these teams, we can respect it. They're going to put themselves in better positions. But the fact that we just see nothing from certain teams, like the league can't reward that. It's enough of it.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. I'm just out. My nihilist brain went to a point where, remember when Mark Cuban lost that playing game so that he could have better draft odds?
Yeah, didn't they get fined for that?
Yes, and I'm worried that like there'll be like it's gonna get to a point where there's gonna be so many teams playing for that good spot, and then like they all need to lose one at the end of the season, and you're gonna see some
And
massive fucking.
manipulated it in that aspect.
Yeah,
But
but
I
still
can
though, that's a
respect that
I
they.
was just thinking that's a good idea though.
But I can respect that they competed all season.
Yeah,
At the least, I can respect they competed all season. Now, see, that's the only thing that will stop me from saying confirm they get the top pick.
yeah, because they
That's
could.
why I say, okay, let's just go ahead and let it be a percentage chance because I don't want it guaranteed because that's way too sweet.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, that's actually a really good point. And as y'all were talking, I started thinking like this is going to be a lot. I'm not saying all these things have to happen at once, but I think potentially working towards something like this could only be to the benefit of the league and fans. So I don't think it's that people don't want as much basketball as we're getting, right? Whether you get into the 82 game season, you think about the addition of the play-in tournament, like all of that. If there was a way to potentially shorten the season just a little bit, but shortening that season to allow for, and this is really the bigger question, do you think that either fans wouldn't want it, or do you think that maybe the league doesn't think it's marketable to have some form of a
Tournament.
I was about
But
to
like
say
tournament for non-playoff teams.
yeah,
Basically consider it the NIT of the year.
NIP.
Right?
to
Yeah.
get the
So
number one
like
draft pick.
so if you take those 14 non like playoff teams, right? And they basically do like a round like one like winner go home tournament, like in the winner of that tournament or the place within that tournament, either like your odds, I don't know, it'd get a little tricky if like that decided the lottery like order. Like I
At
don't
least percentages.
yeah, but like winning that tournament gets you a higher percentage of the number one pick, or say the winner of the tournament gets the number one pick, and then everything else after that could be odds, whatever the case may be.
If somehow that would even come to life, a tournament would have to guarantee that pick selection
For
because
sure.
I'm not playing to get first in a tournament just to
It,
still fall down in the
like to four
lottery.
or five. Like, no, I agree.
Well,
So that's why I'm like, if the incentive for the tournament, then to your point, is you're playing for your pick. So like even if you get to the championship game of that tournament, like yes, you're playing for the number one pick. But the second pick, especially in a draft like the one coming up, would be a hell like that's a hell of a consolation prize. And you still competed to get that number two pick versus say the situation where Dallas got Coop, right? Like saved them from a lot, but like there's no reason they should have got that number one pick. You know what I'm saying? Just based off of odds and what have you. So I don't know. Like you know, we could throw out a lot of theories, and I don't think there's one like definitive guaranteed way to fix it. But to the point of competition, I just feel like you said, like um
Rewarded for
you shouldn't
losing.
be rewarded for losing. Like there should still be some aspect of you competing and having to work for getting that pick that you feel like is going to turn around your franchise. Because if not, you're going to be doing all this tanking. And if you never tank to actually get the number one pick and you perpetually get a lottery pick, but it might be 8 or 9 or whatever the case may be. Like there are only going to be so many drafts that are as loaded as this draft is anticipated to be. Like most of the drafts we've seen recently are really lottery heavy. Like after the lottery, like yeah, there's always a gym in there somewhere, but like you don't know that gym until they get into the league. Like you don't have too many draft classes like this where we are assuming that the first arguably 5 to 7 picks of this draft could easily and are almost expected to become franchise players. Like this is not a common, occurrence. And I don't think we're going to see it again for a very long time. So I don't know if maybe the tanking in and of itself looks this way this year because of this draft class, because that could very much be a relationship that makes it make a little bit more sense. But I don't know. Tanking's always existed, and I still think like all the things we said are viable options to just not, having to get worse over time. But I don't know. I think a tournament that just provides also more basketball as well. Like I said, as a fan, like I'm not going to be against that. If I can see competitive basketball for as long as possible, I'll take it.
yeah.
I think it'd take a lot for the league to implement that, though. I don't know.
I was gonna say draft pick trades are gonna be tough. Like stuff like that.
Yeah.
Just
Well,
that's the
but
hard logistics.
does it have to be tough? Does it necessarily change now because those teams have something else to fight for? Like think of a team who OKC they pick.
Oh yeah, hey, so listen, because I got another video on my account about about the tournament being an idea. My 3 key points is if I am on one of these sorry tanking teams, right? And I know that either I'm in a contract year or I just know looking at these prospects, the prospect my organization plans to draft is going to replace me, right? And make me expendable. What is my incentive for playing? Why am I going to go compete, right? This is an organizational issue. This ain't my fault. I need to keep my money in my pocket. I need to keep my position. If I'm a role player and I know that they're looking at like a Con or somebody like just thinking of somebody significant, and I'm like, I'm coming up on my contract year, right? Or I just know they're looking at a guy they see that could simply replace me and make me expendable. What am I going to compete for? And then like I said, organizationally, if I know that I'm the Clippers and I'm tanking hypothetically, and I owe all my picks to Oklahoma City, I'm not about to compete in this draft. Why would I give you the highest possible pick you can get? As an organization, I'm not going to line my guys up to do that. So I
Yeah.
think it's
True.
I don't the draft isn't necessarily a thing where I believe players would have full interest other than sheer competition. Like as far as just trying to compete and earn something out of it. But as far as the draft goes, I don't think that really I don't think it would strike the interest of players to say, hey, we're going to go play our butts off just so y'all can draft somebody to replace us or sign somebody else. And organizationally, like I said, it can be manipulated. Like I'm gonna sit guys, this guy's out for the season now, this guy's sick, this guy's hurt, all this, just so I can lose. So that now that lottery pick I traded you ain't gotta be number 1 or 2. It can be guaranteed 14 right now.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's a good point. And that's why it's so tricky. But I think your original point of the best record of the non-playoff teams, I think that is more feasible and still keeps the idea of like pick trades and things of that nature, still keeps it
Uh-huh.
intact without, like you said, making it to where players feel even more expendable than they already naturally are when it comes
Right.
to the organization. So we shall see. It will be interesting to see what this looks like when you're not dealing with the draft class that people are anticipating. Because I do
Uh-huh.
think like I don't think we've ever had you probably had to go back to the Zion draft class before you looked at like a top three that felt as that it had as much hype as this top three, projected does. And that's not even considering, again, this class is considered to at least be, from a lottery standpoint, 8 or 9 deep in terms of like talent that people are expecting to be able to contribute immediately, so
Mhm.
that's that. But yeah, hopefully tanking gets solved. Definitely won't happen in a year, but hopefully they get a handle on it sooner rather than later. Um, there's a few storylines that I want to throw out to y'all that could impact the rest of the season, through the playoffs, that is, as well, and just want to get y'all thoughts on it. First one is Jason Tatum's decision, right? So I've been an advocate all season that I think he should sit for no other reason than to just fully heal physically and prepare himself mentally for the NBA season. We know that the Celtics will always have championship aspirations as long as him and Brown are there. So while they are in a really good position to still potentially win the East and with Tatum be considered contenders for a championship, I just would hate to see this be a situation where it goes left. And I just feel like there are more things that lead to it going left than it being this, historic comeback story that I think Tatum may not be doing it for, but would ultimately kind of be like the goal. But what are y'all thoughts on like that storyline of his impending decision to come back? Because it kind of seemed like he gonna play this season at some point.
I,
I
I
just don't
think
think he has enough time to ramp up, to me personally.
I think it depends on the role he intends to play when he returns.
Good point.
Because it the team has been the team to this point, and the team has earned the number 2 seed in the conference.
Yeah.
Right. The team has an MVP caliber guy right now as the head of their snake. Right. So when you enter into this team, I think it's a matter of filling whatever hole is needed to help elevate the team rather than coming and reestablishing who you have been year in and out. Considering, like I said, what the team looks like this season, and also, trying to make sure he's healthy moving forward. Because he's going to be a minutes restriction. He ain't going out there playing 40, right? So
Yeah.
it's already going to be a process of easing him into it. But I still think he could be a value. He would be a value guaranteed if he chose. But it's, it's tricky, man. It's tricky because not too many times your best player is out and your team is number 2 seed and you still have a chance to win an NBA championship. So he's in a difficult spot. Like he's not in that Tyrese Halliburton Pacers spot.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I don't really have an opinion as far as whether he should sit or continue, but or return. But if he does return, I think the intent should be to fill whatever gaps in the team, opposed to coming back to reestablish MVP candidate Jason Tatum. And also, people do care about their accolades and averages and career things. So if those things start to take a dip, then narratives will form. People will say what they want to say, and historically, your resume will be altered. So you could play it safe and not participate.
And you make a great point. And I hate that this has become the thing between them. And we've talked about it a lot on this pod, so I'm not going to necessarily make it seem like we aren't part of it, but it's not about pitting Tatum and Brown against each other. I just think it's naturally been this thing of like, since there were conversations before the contracts were signed of which one you would keep or if you would trade one, whatever the case may be, then came the finals win and Brown getting the MVP over Tatum. With Tatum, most people are going to say like Tatum is considered a top five, top seven at worst player in the league, whereas Jaylen Brown is highly respected, but I don't know how many people are even putting him top 10. You know what I'm saying? Like just
Uh-huh.
you put him in the bigger picture of all the players in the league. And so I think when you look at a situation where like Tatum goes down, right? And like Tatum has nothing to lose by sitting out a year. Like he's already accomplished so much. Him sitting out a year at 27 ain't gonna hurt him. Like he not even losing his prime for real.
Mhm.
But then you see what happened this year, and everybody always said, what does it look like with Jaylen Brown as a number one? Can Jaylen Brown be a number one? And now we see it. And now that noise is only going to get louder because now there's evidence that like without you, they cool. Like they good. Like you could add another role player and they could be fine because like Jaylen Brown can carry the ship. It's not to say that he can replace what Tatum does. You know what I'm saying? They're still better together. But to your point of caring about those accolades and understanding narratives, I do think that's a factor as well. And I will hope that's not something that's making him feel like I need to come back or I want to come back because
Right. I hope that's not part of
of
his
that.
decision. I
And I
agree
don't
with
think it
you.
is. I think he wants to come back because he wants to come back. Um, I just don't want it to be a pride thing where it's like, I just keep thinking the worst case scenario. And worst case scenario is it gets re-aggravated or something happens and now there's a longer recovery. Like now you're out a whole nother year now. Now the narrative really gets different. Now the noise really gets louder. So 1 year at 20, at 27, 28, like you're not losing nothing. You ain't got nothing to lose. And even if they go and do the thing, I don't think Boston is looking at you differently just because it happened while you were nursing an injury.
Just
I
go
would
to
don't
champ.
think that, but I don't know. I'm also not in that position, like you said, Devontae. Like that's a really tough position for him to be in, all things considered. So we'll see. It looks like he's eyeing a return, but we'll ultimately see what he decides. So yeah,
Yeah, if I'm that doctor signing off on it, oof, oof. I don't, I don't want to be him. So, if it is doctor agreed upon that he's good to go 100, and they say it's good, then it's up to JT and LMA.
crying.
But I wouldn't.
Right.
But also, I would if I felt good and if I was like, if he's psychologically ready to go back. Who's to say? Just also knocking on a lot of wood because health is wealth, and you'd rather have 8 to 10 more good years as opposed to like maybe one more finals run if it all goes super wrong. So
Yeah.
yeah,
No, all good points.
And that's another thing too, because you're not guaranteed a successful season.
no, you got to go see
Yeah.
like Wemby and OKC and whoever's coming out the West, and I don't trust anyone in the East to see any of those teams personally. But
It's interesting you bring up OKC though. Next storyline. OKC hasn't been at full strength all season, but they're the reigning champions. Obviously, they plan on defending the title, and obviously at full strength, I think a lot of people would still arguably take OKC over the field. But we're getting into March and they're still not at full strength. You still have a majority of your starters not logging the ramp up minutes now to prepare for what will be surely a grueling playoff run in the West. I don't care about one seed or not, because one, you got to hold on to the one seed. And if you lose it, now you're potentially talking about a conference finals where you may not have it, right? The home court advantage. But I'm gonna argue that anything after that first round, dogfight
You're it,
for OKC. So how big of a what if is it in terms of them being at full strength for this title defense? And do y'all feel confident that they'll be able to be at full strength come playoff time?
I'll let you have Miguel. We talked our butt
no,
off the last one.
I think it's like some Spurs voodoo. Like not talking Spurs now, like Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili, all that.
Mm.
Where it's just like they're just biding their time so that everyone is at 100 by April. So I feel like if we're having these discussions in early April that like they're still not at full strength, ring the alarms. But right now, I just feel like it's like right after All-Star break, guys are coming back from nagging injuries. Let them get back to 100% and let the other young guys cook and develop because they need to. Like Topic was, a pick for them. Like they have guys that they have to work into their lineup still, and they had, bought into in terms of like projects. Like they bought into Topic over Uzman Jang and like other pieces on their team where it's like, yeah, like let them cook and like let your guys get to full strength. So that's the most important part where they need to be 100 at is the playoffs. So
And the thing is, they are missing, like, if we talk about, they're missing like 6 guys total and a few just being in and out. And also the roster hasn't been shaken up from what it was last season.
Yeah.
So they're coming right back into what they know. And it's not like a new environment or new situation for these guys. So they're missing. I mean, he's making his way back, but Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, you got Chet Holmgren, who's been a little in and out. And I'll say over the course of the last, since he's kind of been around, it's been a hit or miss depending on if he's. But for the most part, he is healthy. You got Jalen Williams, who's missed a very large part of the season. AJ Mitchell, who started off very hot and now has missed plenty of time. Alex Caruso missing a good amount of time as of late. You got Isaiah Hartenstein, who's also so like this is their starting lineup other than Lou Dort.
Basically.
yeah,
So their starting lineup is on the back burner. And they still have guys that are going out there competing night in and night out. Quality guys.
Yeah.
So I have no
they got my
concern
goal.
with that team, man. I don't. Like, I mean, as long as they're healthy, like as far like them returning and their chemistry and everything on the floor, like I got no question about that, man. But if they can get into the playoffs healthy, they are still that team we saw last season. It's just a matter of whether or not they're in shape and
Yeah.
healthy to make it through.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I wonder how people feel about the ramp up period because we know playoffs are all about momentum. And I think it's fair to have trust in OKC that if healthy, they don't need this ramp up and momentum period to still be the force that they were last year and that they ultimately always have been when fully healthy. I just think that they didn't have a San Antonio breathing down their neck last year either. So,
Mm-hmm.
a team that, granted, they haven't played fully healthy just yet, but a team that has their number this season, a team with a player that is out to pretty much kind of stake his claim as early as possible and go about his business. And a team that's pretty much kind of built to combat everything that they do. So just because they're the defending champs, I'm still taking OKC against the field until proven otherwise, right? But I think this is going to be a way, like defending the championship is already a huge test. I think given how this regular season has looked, I think that just makes this test even more difficult for them than it might have already been just coming into the season. But no, I don't disagree with the take that as long as they're healthy, there's too much cohesion already that's there to be concerned about whether they'll be okay if they're at full strength and if they're in shape, like you said. So
And
So
I'll say by the time they start reaching, those series that can really cost them their championship repeat, they got about they got about 2 months.
yeah, 2 months.
Because you got March, you got half of April regular season, and
Yeah,
then you got whatever the first series matchup is going to be.
yeah,
And after that, we start walking into the end of April, beginning of May. So it's a 2 month window right now for them to get those things together. So I mean, as long as these guys get on the floor with a solid amount of time prior to playoff action,
yeah.
I don't see why the opinions to begin the season would change.
Yeah.
Super real. Next storyline, we stay in the West. Denver. I think you could argue that this is Denver's most complete team in a while, probably since the championship, if we being honest. In my opinion, I think they're just more like again when healthy, they're more well rounded. They have the depth that they've
I was
always.
about to say bench depth.
Yeah, they have the depth that they haven't really had in, I would say, the last couple of years. And they've seen some of those young players finally kind of turn that corner that they've been looking for, but they've been dealing with injuries as well. Jokic, I think, probably has missed the most time that he's missed, in a while with the hyperextended knee, and he's back and trying to find his rhythm. Murray, made his first All-Star game, which is crazy, but has been playing at an All-Star level all year. But they're still, fighting within that 3 to 6 spot. But can Denver fully healthy be just as much of a threat, as we're talking about in regard to San Antonio? Because like we're still talking about Jokic, of course, as well. But if Murray is going to be this playoff riser and they're at full health with this depth, like how is Denver looked at this season, maybe in comparison to some others in recent memory?
Aaron Gordon means a lot.
He does.
He means a lot. So for him to have not played and to be experiencing an injury that lingered from the previous season's playoffs, that's the concern. Because if it's going on this long,
Yeah.
then the recovery process, along with getting reacclimated to playing and being comfortable with your injury or with the healing process, that's a whole nother thing too. And he means so much to this team that I understand how deep they are. I get it completely. But that's one dude that can decide games for you day in and day out, where I think without him, they aren't going to do it. If he's able to somehow catch up to speed and get back to Aaron Gordon, at least some fraction of it, of a high percentage, yeah, I'm with Denver. I'm not siding with them to win it all, but I got them with the hopes to make a deep run. I don't really see a deep run with no Aaron Gordon unless something happens with other team opponents.
Yeah, I agree with that. He's definitely the biggest X factor for them because I think you know what you're gonna get from Jokic, and Murray is a playoff riser, so I think those two will show up. And if you can count on depth, you just need the X factor, like you said, that is gonna decide the game within the intangibles. So he's gonna be huge for him for sure. But
Yeah. I think the development of Peyton Watson this year has been great. I think Brown, his role has gotten more fleshed out. I think having Bruce Brown back always helps. I feel like they lost a big part of him when he left in their runs in years past. He's a guy that's familiar with the system. Um, yeah, I don't know. They're always a formidable opponent. I'm not really ever going to count out one of the best IQs that we've seen in the game, as long as he's healthy and he has guys around him that know how he plays.
yeah,
And
I
Cam
like
Johnson missing a lot of time too.
say it again.
Cam Johnson did miss a lot of
I was
time.
gonna say he missed a ton of time. Like my Cam Thomas versus Tyler Hero prediction early of the year. I have no clue how that's going, but he missed a lot of time.
I mean,
Um,
I think it's a wash. I
yeah,
think
I think Miami's just not having the year to really compare. But I said like it, just impact guy. Like he's a perfect fit next to Jokic.
sure.
Cut to the bat, make a smart cut, bang a three, play some decent defense. But yeah, I don't know. I think the West is a scary place to be in. I'm glad we're not there. Um, but
Indeed.
yeah, depends on matchups at every part of it. Because like right now, if I was looking at I went off the page. What?
I
It's
think they're
okay.
third.
Spurs to
Oh, Houston's
Nuggets.
3, and I think Denver is 4.
Yeah. So I don't know what the back half is because it's going to be a jumble with the playing teams and the 5 and 6 because I'm sure the records
So
are going to.
that's annual at this point.
Right.
Yeah. So
Every year. But
um, but yeah, no, it's going to be just who everyone matches up with. It's going to be interesting to see.
yeah, nah, that makes a lot of sense too. But speaking of how scary the West is, we'll jump to the East.
Can I just say that the Spurs are doing fantastic for my prediction? They're going to clear easily, and they look great.
They do
You
look.
got a win count.
But we were arguing if they were going to be top 6 in the West this year, and I was like,
We were. We
they're
were.
Oh,
going to. I'm
okay.
like, yes, and
It,
I don't know. That was a big debate early.
it wasn't a huge debate. You just said they were going to be top 6. We just weren't as confident in it. I don't think we're surprised. Like we just weren't as confident because we didn't know what the leap was going to look like just yet. We didn't know. But I'm not surprised by what's happening. He's healthy, first and foremost. Fox is doing exactly what we thought he was going to do.
Yeah,
Everybody else has pretty much arrived. I mean, even the leap that Castle has taken, I don't know if I expected that big of a leap this year from him. So it's just all working out, but it don't surprise me. Um
Keldon Johnson. Shout out to Keldon Johnson,
Shout out
man.
to Johnson. Look, he lasted. Look, he stayed, because they got so
right.
him. But if you can stick around, look, he can be along for the ride, man.
Telling
He
you,
matters. He matters too, man. A
He does,
ton.
for sure. No, that their whole roster, like everybody that's there means something to whatever they're trying to do.
the
So
culture. They got culture.
they do.
Yeah.
They do. They always have. Other storyline. This Cleveland connection, man. I I'm a little bit surprised at how seamless the fit was. Like when you actually watch it, it makes sense right away. But I think when the trade happened, I wasn't sure if it would kind of like gel and mesh so quickly in the way that it has. And I'm not sure how deterred I am from the thumb with Harden. Like if he's gonna play through it, whether that's with some tape or whatever they're gonna do to it, like if he cleared to play and he cleared to be the facilitator that he's meant to be for this team, I think they're still as formidable as they would be, like just considering him healthy, right? But with the East being relatively wide open, Cleveland now poses somewhat of a threat that they weren't able to do last year and in years past. I think Donovan Mitchell has always been a guy that you can trust to show up, but as Miguel has pointed out before, a Donovan Mitchell led team just doesn't scare you. It doesn't instill fear
No,
in you. And
James
it,
Harden led
it's
team.
not a well, no, but that's the
Is he
difference.
double negative?
It's not
Split.
an indictment against Donovan Mitchell per se, but it's like you just have to have a certain team built around him to be convinced. And I think that what you might consider shortcomings for both players in Mitchell and Harden, I think they offset. Like Mitchell can focus on being the number one scorer and the guy. And also, he doesn't have to initiate the offense anymore, which then gives him a little bit more energy to now be more of a two-way player that I think he has the ability to be and still do that in the playoffs. Harden, you're not asking him for 30 points a game. You asking him to get everybody else they 15 to 20. If he can help Mitchell like not have to go for 30 on his own, which we saw him do all last year. If he can help get Jared Allen and Evan Mobley they 20 a game by getting them easy buckets and getting the ball to shooters, on top of I think Schroeder and Ellis sneaky additions for them. Love it for them off
Yeah.
the great guards, great defensive players off the bench. So now they have that depth that you argue that they didn't have last year either. And again, when you don't have a clear titan in the East, it's like it just comes down to matchups now because Detroit looks great, but still lacks the experience and still doesn't have the roster construction. I think that will make you feel extremely confident in them as like contenders. You respect them. I'm interested to see what will happen, but Cleveland could get them, right? Boston is extremely formidable and has the most experience, but this is where Tatum not being there will come into play in a year like this against this iteration of this Cavs team. Everybody after that, I mean, Knicks and Cavs, fair game, toss up, 50-50. Depends on who who has the better game. But then everybody kind of after that, I'm
Magic,
taking
Heat.
Cleveland in that series. So
Just wait
Um,
for us. Wait until Giannis is split with Cam
so,
Thomas.
hey, man. I guess we can discuss this after we get to the Cavs.
yeah,
But I think the Sixers are my like my ultimate Eastern Conference wild card.
I agree. I like it.
But I'll separate that conversation. We'll talk about that in a minute. But
Yeah.
with the Cavaliers, another thing I put on my account, I think my latest video regarding the James Harden or the post trade deadline Cavaliers, um, the thing I question is their perimeter defense, and I say that with the two stars on the floor.
Mm.
There's no issue when it comes to Dennis Schroeder, right? No issue when it comes to the Keon Ellis's of the world, or you got your Jalen Tyson out there. You got is it no, it's not Dean Wade. Who's the other guy? They start at the four. I mean at the three.
Uh,
Put out there.
he might be starting Dean Wade now. I don't know. If it's well, Strus hasn't played all year. I don't think he's
Uh
starting Merrill.
Oh,
No.
Sam Merrill.
Okay, I didn't know
Sam
if he was
Merrill.
starting him or not, but yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
he does defend.
Yeah.
So like I don't question
Bucks
those guys.
legend.
The problem is with those two guys on the foot. Like I was watching them play the Thunder the other night, man, and I'm just looking. I'm like, James Harden is doing his usual, and they're hiding him in the 2-3,
Right.
right? When him and Donovan Mitchell out there on the floor together. I'm seeing, I think it was through the third quarter. I'm just watching dudes just give it to Donovan Mitchell, just as the quarter went on. Like he just kept being the guy that something successful offensively took place against.
Mm.
Later in the game, in a crucial possession, they were playing the 2-3. James Harden is in the corner, hiding, defending Lou Dort. And I was thinking to myself, I'm like, and it was a few possessions. I'm like, why are y'all just gonna let James Harden sit over here and do nothing?
Yeah.
Why go get into action and force him to commit to something? And just as soon as I was saying that, Lou Dort dove to or flashed to the middle, beat James Harden to the rim, drew the extra defender, kicked out, and it was a bucket, right? And it was costly, and they ended up losing that game against the Thunder. But hey, I'm like I question their perimeter defense with those two on the floor at the same time. What I've been seeing, I think as of late, is Kenny Atkinson being able to split time and share the usage between the two, offsetting them.
Yeah.
So then that also keeps a higher level of defense on the floor. So they're figuring it out. But when you need those two on the floor for something, I just think that's my largest question is perimeter defense.
That's real. I agree with that. And you can't hide in the playoffs. And I think that's the biggest thing. And it's like you either gonna have to produce enough on one end of the floor to truly offset what you know you gonna give up, or some gonna have to give. And I'm not saying that they won't compete, but to your point, depending on certain matchups, like I ain't trying to see no zone in no playoffs. I'm sorry. Like I don't even like seeing zone for real in the NBA to begin with. I'm not gonna lie to you. But like, yeah, you just can't hide. So at a certain point, like you're gonna have to guard up. You're gonna have to be able to get a stop. And as a team, I'm sure they can. Like they have great interior defense, obviously. But to your point,
Mhm.
perimeter wise, you get the wrong matchup where you got somebody that can really destroy you from the perimeter. It's gonna be tough, and they're gonna have to face that call again. But it'll be interesting to see how it plays out this year with things being so open, with there being so much up in the air. Depending on seeding, can Cleveland get to the conference finals?
We all know what happened last time.
What?
Health, man. Health is the biggest thing.
2007. 2007. We've seen this story before.
Jesus.
It's been done.
We got another comparison going on.
It's been done before.
Good Lord. But yeah, no, you mentioned you mentioned Sixers, and we can kind of close out like with the Sixers as your wild card. And I know Bill has some Bucks takes that he wants to get off. But I agree with you on the Sixers being kind of like this wild card dark horse. Not that we have to deep dive into this, but there's been a conversation going on in some group chats of mine with Maxey and Jalen Brunson because I don't know if it was Bleacher Report, whatever list was released of the top 30 players like this season, and Maxey was above Brunson. People had an issue with that. I could really care less because lists, especially mid-season, you can only put so much stock in, and it's very specific to like a certain time frame and carrying on, and it's not just holistic
Right.
in general. But I think Maxi has, had an amazing season, and if someone was to say that Maxi and Brunson are playing on the same level this season, I wouldn't disagree. That doesn't mean I wouldn't still take Brunson over Maxi if you're asking me which player I would take or which player I think is better, but Maxey has taken that leap. Now, the key for Philly, I feel like, is because we saw Embiid. Embiid has hit a nice little, rhythm himself of finding his groove alongside Maxey, maybe even alongside that backcourt in general. And then it sucks because popping pill Pete done got himself suspended.
Prescription P.
Look, Percocet B, whatever he was doing. And not even to make too much light of that, but it's like him missing 25 games. That's now time that he's losing to be ramped up and be prepared for whatever his role would be. But getting him back, I mean, at full strength, I think Philly is a extremely dangerous team because you can play through Maxi now, which then you still can't forget about Embiid though, because that's still a walking 20 and 10. Like if he wants to. So they
Can't forget about PG either. Like he'll be back at
exactly
25 games.
exactly.
That stuff might still be an assist to me. Might still have a couple good games in him.
And does VJ is VJ who we like? Can VJ take another like leap? And I'm not saying he's gonna take a drastic leap from regular season to playoffs, but like he's here, he's ready. Like he's ready for the responsibility. He's ready to take whatever comes along with like this journey, and he plays great alongside Maxi and just with the team in general. So to your point of them being a wild card and kind of like a dark horse, I mean, of course, it'll always come down to matchups, but they right there in the mix. I don't think there's a lot of teams that's going to want to see them. I think it's going to be hard to beat them in a 7-game series when they have everybody. So I agree with your Philly take. Yeah.
Health, health being the biggest thing. Yeah, same as I'm going like taking a quick step back to the James Harden thing just because it was stuck in my mind as far as health and his greatest thing being playmaking ability. Right now, I ain't gonna lie to you, if I'm one of them guys out there and I know your thumb is hurting you, I'm about because listen, you
They did
can't
the
you
stuff.
you
They
out
did the
here.
stuff.
You out here.
You out here. Like I ain't never seen a boxing match where somebody cut somebody or bruised them, did whatever, and say, you know what? I'm gonna take it easy. I'm not gonna hit that party. I'm sorry. I'm gonna leave that alone. I'm gonna go elsewhere. No, I'm attacking that.
For sure.
You're out here. You signed up for this. I'm attacking that. So health in many cases is just it is what it is, man. And with the Sixers, we don't know if we don't know if Joel Embiid gonna bring his WD-40 that night. Like we got. I'm just saying, man. Look, we don't know what's gonna happen.
Right.
So they're just the largest, the freaking biggest X factor of this whole Eastern Conference because they are above the play-in. If I'm not mistaken, I believe.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
six.
they're currently above the play-in. So that puts them against a Cleveland or a New York. So we're gonna have to figure that out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll
That's
see.
a tough spot.
Toss up. To me, it's a toss up though, honestly, because I'm not Cleveland is more of a toss up with most teams. New York has done enough for me to feel like they'll force their way like out of certain series. Like they just have a will that most teams don't. But Cleveland and Philly, 50-50. Toss up. I don't know. Who
Yeah, I don't know that one.
I don't know. Whoever.
I'll give New York the edge against Philly with Cleveland and Philly.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know about that one.
For sure, for sure. So I'm with you on that. But it'll be interesting to see. But man, we gave y'all a lot of good ball knowledge today. If you were casual, you might have got lost along the way. And feel free to pause and ask questions in the comments if you need to. It's okay. We will help you understand what's going on. But no, man, talked about a lot, discussed a lot, and yeah, we're just getting into the best part of the season, to be honest, before the playoffs. But yeah, Devontae, man, thank you again for coming on the
Of
pod.
course.
Just blessing us with the knowledge, man. Like you said, no casuals here. So this is all real hoops talk. This is all we know ball. I don't know how else to say it. I don't know what else to tell you. But yeah, anything I know you mentioned your socials and your pages, but shout out those pages so people can know where to follow you and things like that.
It's unbiased Vontae, and Vontae is VONTE. So it's unbiased Vontae, and that's for TikTok and Instagram. I might start up Twitter. I have a Twitter account, but I'm not active on that. But the two platforms I'm active on, unbiased Vontae for both Instagram and TikTok for my content creation.
Follow those right now.
Look, y'all heard the man. Go follow. Y'all see the takes. Y'all see the takes be there. So you know you're getting good content regardless. But yeah, man, again, just thank you for joining the show. We will definitely have to have you back once we get closer to these playoffs or once we get into it to
Yep,
talk
invite me
all
back
of
and I'm
that.
here.
Yeah, or draft. I know we gonna have to talk about these draft picks sooner than later. I want to see. I want to wait till after the tourney though. I want
Mm,
to see everybody go through the tourney before we get to talking about them NBA wise. But
mm.
yeah, no, a lot to talk about, a lot for y'all to dive into. Comment, like, subscribe, all of that stuff. Go back and check other episodes. And until the next time we bless y'all screens, man. We'll catch y'all on the next episode, dog. Peace.